So hello and welcome to the channel. Welcome to Assetto Corsa Evo or Evo, however they want to say it. So we're here looking at Assetto Corsa, and I'm going to call it Evo because I just can't get my head around saying Evo. It just doesn't seem right for me. But there's a lot to look at in this video and I don't even know where I'm going to start, to be honest. I spent probably about 4 or 5 hours last night trying the different cars, trying to get the wheels set up, trying a lot of different things. I'll just turn that fan off for a second. Every now and then I've been reloading the game whilst I've been changing the settings to try and get the best visuals. As obviously you can see down in this bottom right hand corner here, we're getting 90 frames per second, and I'm running this on a gaming laptop. It's got a 3050 RTX. It's an i500. I think it runs at about 12,000 whatever it is, or 14,000. I don't even know what that number is. I'm just not that computer literate, but it's got an i5 and it's a 1350, so it's not the best graphics card in the world, and these are the compromises that I'm having to make to run it on my system. I've seen loads of hate about the game. Obviously, I mean, this is probably the first time I saw this roadmap. Was probably about the 15th time I loaded it, so it doesn't come up for everybody every time. Other things that you can't see either, I've got my latency is about 8.5, it probably jumps to around 30, which isn't too bad, and the GPU's running about 80%. It probably hits around 90%, 95%, but we're managing to keep at least above 60 frames per second, which is what my aim was when I was trying to look at setting this up. I've been through numerous permutations of the graphics settings within the game. I've dialed my visuals back even to 1080p to get this game running in 1440p. I don't even know what it would be like in 4K. I'd probably get like 10 frames per second. But in 1440p, I was struggling to hit even a solid 50, maybe 40 frames. So I'm dropping the resolution down to 1080p. And at least I can enjoy the game somewhat. But looking at the early access, obviously this feature down here, by purchasing Assetto Corsa Evo Early Access, not only have you enjoyed the discount, I'm sure it was about £26 or something like that, but you'll also receive all the content featured in 1.0 for free. Thank you for believing in us. And initially there was only a small selection of cars. It did get a patch probably a couple of hours after launch. Obviously we didn't get any extra tracks, but you've got to remember, guys, this is early access. This is dialing out all the issues within the game for menus and other such things. It's not about asking for, can we have this car, can we have that car, when's this track coming, why isn't this available. Like I say, a lot of people, VR support, it's step one of VR support. Obviously we've got the second session, VR support step 2. There's loads of other things coming. This is early access. It's not a finished game by a long way. There is so much more to do. Even in fall 2025, we're still looking at VR and triple screen support. All the big stuff coming, all the vehicles coming. It is literally a case of, does the game run? Can you save setups? Can you do things within the game? It's not a finished game, so just bear that in mind if you are buying this game and you're wanting to play it. You are a testing machine for Kunos. That is it, literally all it is. Enjoy the game as you will. It's not even online at the moment. So that's my little rant over with. I've got lots of other things to rant about. Obviously you come into driver profile, there's no point filling any of this in because the next time you load it, it's gone. You have to do it every single time. There's nothing in the galleries to look at. You can't save any replays, you can't save any photographs. When you come into the settings, I'll literally show you the settings that I'm using. It does save them, and you'll come at the top here and it says keyboard and mouse. This is for literally when you're moving around in some of the menus. I click on, I don't know why we've got Club Sport Wheelbase version 2.5, Club Sport Wheelbase version 2.5, and then a different shifter and another another controller. I have literally got my Fanatec wheel connected and that's it. So I've chosen to use this one in the middle. Whether it makes any difference, you have to go through and select, press the button, like press your mouse button, turn the wheel and it inputs the steering. You have to press the throttle button, press the accelerator button on your pedals. You have to do all this for all these things. I don't even know if the brake thing, the handbrake works on my wheel. Gearing, I've gone through my gears on the paddles. I've gone through all the sequential shifter that I've got alongside me, putting in all the gears, the reverse gears, the light cycle, all the way down, pit speed limiter, traction control up and down. I'm using the keyboard, or left and right on my little toggle switch that I've got on my wheel. The rotary switches, it doesn't log the rotary switches. I've tried inputting them, so at the moment support for the McLaren wheel isn't there, although it does use the LCD display in the wheel, which is always nice to see. It just displays the gearing at the moment. So coming into the settings alongside here, this is what I've got set up currently on my wheel. I will literally flick through the PDF at the moment. It shows you all the basic settings that it is on the website, it is on the Evo website. There's a PDF document in there that shows you the Mozza wheel, I think maybe a Thrustmaster wheel or some more high-end wheels. The Fanatec wheel's in there. For the base settings, it gets rid of all these, but I've got to be honest, initially coming onto the game, I didn't think it felt too bad, to be honest, with the initial settings. All these were like max, some of them were maxed out, but I've made some subtle changes to how this feels, but it's not massive. There are still issues, I think, with the force feedback, especially under braking, using the brake pedal. It just feels like it really does rotate the car too much. You kind of get used to it, but it's not how it feels for me in Assetto Corsa Competizione. It just feels too overly rearwardly biased, the brake pedal, and I cannot see any way so far to be able to change the brake balance. I have tried somewhere down here the brake bias front and rear. I've tried changing it, it doesn't work at the minute. I've tried it in numerous different cars and it doesn't change anything. So coming back out of there, other things that we need to look at. The video selection, yes, let's have a look at this. The resolution, like I say, I've changed this down to 1080p. I've changed the frame rate to 90 frames, so you're always going to get 90 frames. If you went up to 240 frames, you probably get 240 frames in the menu system, because it's not really doing anything. It's easy just to maintain an image, but as soon as you come into the gameplay, this starts to fluctuate quite a lot. I did have it up at 120, but I thought I'd just bring it down to 90, keep it stable. I've gone to full screen, I don't want it in a window. So looking at the graphics, I've just used the graphic preset and I've got it set to very low. Obviously, if you're using DLSS, it's definitely worth having it on. It doesn't make a massive difference. I've been through all these: balanced, performance, ultra performance. Balance is where it works best for me on my system. So coming down through the list, I'm not going to go through what all these do. If you've got a better graphics card than me, you could probably mess around with these and get it looking better. I would suggest just going through the presets for now, seeing what works best on your setup, and looking at this frame rate down in the very bottom right corner. Obviously they've got other things running up at the top, but you can't see those, just showing me the GPU temperatures and stuff like that. So yeah, choose what you can through there to get it running above 60 frames in my opinion. Just use the presets. Gameplay and HUD, you can't really do a great deal with this. I have got skip intro off, but I haven't seen an intro for the game ever since trying to launch it. If you try and click to go online mode, it just clicks it off again and says online mode is not available. Whether that will come in the second section of the early access, I'm not sure. You can't even click HUD to change it. Audio, I have changed a number of these because I hate the sound of, it sounds like there's like a whirring sound all the time with this wind or slipstream. Might be worth having on for the realism if you drive in a car that hasn't got a windscreen, or maybe it's a soft top or something like that. But I don't think it should be sounding the way it sounds. I've got rid of the music because it always plays even through replays and stuff like that. I'd rather have an option where you can turn in-game music or menu music on and in-game music off. I've just turned it off altogether. But obviously we want to hear the engines, we want to hear the other cars. Tyres is important as well, but I do think they're a bit over-exaggerated at the minute. They do make a lot of sound. And that's it really for Controls Academy. That's currently offline as well. Let's have a look through the vehicles. If we come into the garage, and if we just click on here and then we click on this one, initially a lot of these cars, BMW wasn't there, Ferrari wasn't there, Porsche wasn't there, I don't think Lotus was there. There was a lot of cars that weren't in this lineup. If we just pick one of them at random, if we come into here, you can see we've got all these cars to choose from, but if you look into it really, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them are just different types of, or 6 of them are different types of liveries, and then you've got 2, in fact they're the same car as well. So although it looks like there's more cars in here, there isn't. I wish it would just be one car like this, and you click it and you could go into, you can't even go into customize, but I'm sure you can go into there. You can just change what graphic is on the car and go through it that way. Obviously there's going to be more customization at some point. Scene options, you can choose different scene options, and you can flick through these. I do prefer that one, that's much better, because when you go into, I'm sure the other scene option was in the garage, it seemed to have the car offset to one side, so yeah, that's much better just to be able to view it like that. And that's as close as I can zoom in, so you can't get right into the details to look at every single nook and cranny, but you can turn, so if you go to car controls, you can turn the wheels and stuff like that. Not sure why, but going to start, you can't actually start the engine. I'm assuming at some point you're going to be able to start it, but you can go through flashing the lights and stuff like that. A lot of these things are a little bit gimmicky if you ask me, but even changing the time of day, I'm sure that was making a difference earlier. Yeah, if you just flick through it, you can see the sun coming through, scattered rain, overcast. You can see it just makes a difference in the scenery. I mean, we're only moving very slightly, but still lovely little effects on the car and everything as well. But trying to go through this as quickly as I can. So go to drive. You can't go through any special events at the minute. There's nothing in here. We're currently, as you can see, offline. If we look at the assists, this is something you're going to want to look at if you're looking at using some of the different cars. Currently I've got manual gearbox off, so automatic gearbox off. Auto ignition, I want that to come on. I don't like messing around with pushing a start button all the time. Pit speed limiter, I'd like that to come on automatically. Automatic clutch, especially when you're using the pedals on the wheel, definitely want that on. Auto clutch start, you could probably have that on as well, that's a good one to have on. Standing start assist, I don't think we need that. Auto throttle blip, obviously as you come down through the gears it's good to rev match the engine, so having auto blip on. Automatic headlights just saves you turning them on and off. I have got a flasher button set. Automatic wipers again, definitely worth just having on, saves you messing around, and all these other ones I've just turned off. But if you are wanting to use something like the Cosworth or the Honda or the Mazda, all of them are going to require you to use a sequential gearbox, because it doesn't allow me to change them up and down on the paddles. So when you go into that, you need to turn on automatic clutch to off, and it doesn't seem to allow you to do it until you start turning some of these other ones off. I don't know why. So if I turn that on, turn that on, turn that off, turn that off, turn that on. So until I turn automatic clutch off on the start, I can't actually select that. So if I turn that one off, I can then turn that one off. And that would need, you'd obviously need to set up your clutch pedal and everything. So let's just have it all on at the minute, and we'll just go out and do a lap. One of the cars I really have kind of fallen in love with, and it just doesn't feel this way in Assetto Corsa Competizione, is one of the M2 cars. So loving the Mercedes at the minute. So let's come into here and let's have a single race. Obviously you can change all these things in this assist section, and you can change, let's have a look at doing Bathurst or something like that. Just have a look at the circuits. Obviously you've got, this is one circuit. Obviously we've got the shorter section here, we've got Imola, Laguna Seca, and a few different sections of Suzuka with certain parts cut out. Or you can do the full circuit, the east section or the west section, and then we've got the Mount Panorama. So if we have a look at Mount Panorama, and whether, like I said, when we're trying to run at maximum frames per second, I cannot run maximum frames per second when it's raining, or I think at night time it runs alright, but as soon as you add the weather, the frame rate starts to drop. As soon as you add other cars, if you wanted to do the quick race, I definitely prefer just to run a practice session, 10-minute practice session, 20-minute practice session, whatever. It records the full 10 minutes if you're wanting to watch the replay. But as soon as you try and have a race, the frames per second drop for me. There's areas where it spikes to below maybe 40 frames per second. For me, I think playing the game on my laptop, it's just going to be taking part in hot lap sessions, practice sessions, things like that for me at this stage. Until I get a dedicated gaming PC, it's just not got the power to deliver this game at a good quality level, to be honest. I would like to be able to get rid of the mouse when the game starts as well, and move around with the keyboard, or move around with my toggle switch, but at the moment I'm using the mouse. So as you come in, every time there is 60 litres of fuel in, I think. I don't even know if these are litres worth or laps worth, but I'm always just putting 20 litres in for about 10 minutes. And I've gone through the setup. If we go to setup preset and you try and save the setup, it just crashes. It just stays in a loading loop forever and a day. So don't try and save a setup just now. It's just not worth going into. I've not even gone into messing with the setups, to be honest. I did try going into the dampers and changing these so that it's the other way around, as in the current meta setup on ACC, and it just bounces around all over the place. So definitely something to think about is the settings in the car themselves do seem to work quite well, but don't look at doing the meta setup. So when we come into drive, I'm just using the arrows on my keyboard to move to a position where I'm kind of used to that in Forza. I don't know why we've loaded here at Laguna Seca, so I'm just going to exit back out of that because I'm wanting to do Bathurst. So let's come back into there, choose Mount Panorama, and let's go again. So yeah, I'm just moving back and forward. You can move left and right just to get the car set up. So back into the settings again for the car. Take out some of this fuel again. That should do. Not messed with tyres at the moment. And obviously you can just move back and forward. You can move left and right, get it set up where you want. And that's kind of where I want it. If you wanted to press the X button, come back into your view settings. I've got mine set to 42 because of where my screen is sitting. That's usually what I'm using on ACC. The motion, I've taken all the motion out of what I can see, so I don't move back and forward. and it's almost like a static camera, same as in ACC. You can get rid of the hands and wheels and everything, but it takes the driver out in the replay as well, so you don't see anyone driving the car, which would be nice to see on the replays. If you choose to hide the steering wheel and the hands and everything, that driver would still be there in the replays. I would like to see that. So for the time being, I've just added everything back. So I'll discard those changes for now. Let's just go back. So yeah, discard those changes. There's nothing else in here. Let's just resume playing. And let's just take it for a spin. You could push the track pit limiter if you wanted. And let's do a lap. Force feedback wise, I think it feels alright, to be honest. It's not as polished as ACC, but we've still got a long way to go, I think. You will just notice going through the traction controls down the bottom, zero traction control does as you can see, it lights the tyres up. But there is no smoke. There's no smoke from the tyres. Maybe there is on people running with better hardware than me. You can hear the traction control kicking in. First laps of the day. Still have a lot of fun with it. I still enjoy playing the game. Obviously you can see we're getting 78, 77 frames per second, 82, 81. GPU sat at 98. I'm just going to switch the fan on, so you might hear a bit of a noise because I'm getting currently 65 degrees on my GPU. I normally always run with the fan on, I just don't hear it with the headset on. But it feels pretty good to me. It feels very much like ACC when I'm sat in this view. It's just not as graphically beautiful for me, but it depends on your setup. A bit out of shape for that. probably the only time I get to really look at the frames per second. So yeah, dropping down to 60 degrees, much better. And about 20, 18 milliseconds on the latency. Not a bad time. 2 minutes 0.3. But yeah, let's have a little look at the replay. I do like the replays. They do look quite polished. Let's get it out in there. So just have a look at this replay as it comes out. And I did notice when I went through the replays, and I went through the settings on different levels of graphic fidelity, from very low to medium. I did notice a few different sort of angles during the replays. So I don't know whether some of the angles take up more processing power than others. See here, as we were just messing around earlier, you'll see that there's absolutely no tyre smoke. I think a lot of people that are looking at drifting will want to see tyre smoke 100%. So maybe that's something that would come if you got more processing power than myself. It does leave a few tyre marks. And I do think the camera just pans a little bit too early in some of the shots. And especially in the nighttime sections and when it's raining, there's lots of ghosting during the replays from the rear end of the car. But I do like the replays. They do look very nice. Absolutely no damage when you smash into something either. So hopefully damage will come at some point. Doesn't seem to be. I've not put a single scratch on the car at any point, even through testing. But you can see down the frames per second, it's very erratic, jumping from 50 to 80 to 90. So definitely some stability issues at the moment. GPU absolutely maxed out at 99. Latency 18%. Or 18 milliseconds, then down to 9 milliseconds, up to 49. It's very much all over the place. So there's definitely some stability issues, I think, within the game, consistency wise, to maintain a frames per second. Oh, here we go. Just can't see why. I can't remember why we stopped there. Good place to stop, but it doesn't look too bad for 1080p, I don't think. It's obviously on a 4K monitor, but I still think it looks quite nice. And at least it looks more fluid than something that's jumping around and all jaggedy. And so I know some people, like I say, were mentioning that they just had a lot of problems with the game trying to get it running, trying to get the wheels working. I've not had any of these problems. It's just really trying to get it to run at a good level on my laptop. But if you look through F1, press the F1 button, you can jump to some of the onboards and you can just cycle through. The only other view that it gives you is F2, and if you keep pressing F2, nothing happens. And the other one's supposed to be F7. If you press F7, nothing happens either. Go through all the other ones and they don't do anything. But once you've done that, you can't actually get back to the other replay either without stopping it. If you go back to the replay and then it kind of resets again. and you can come back into the TV footage replay. But yeah, feel free to leave your time if you've managed to get into the below the twos. I'm sure having messed with none of the settings on the car, you could probably get into the twos, but I'm just a little bit despondent in wanting to work around with setups because it just doesn't store them. But I'm definitely enjoying the game. I would like to see as well somewhere in this menu section the option to like change whether you want to use traction control, whether you want to use the automatic clutch. Like I mentioned, you can't change the assists once you've started. You have to back out to the menu and then change the assists, which is really annoying. If let me just show you, for example. Try not to make this video too long. If we come into the garage and let's say the Mazda. I don't think I've driven the Mazda just yet. So let's just go with the Mazda. And we come into... We need to go into here to do the automatic clutch. So turning the clutch off, because it doesn't recognize the gears. Let's just go with, in fact, let's go to one of these. Don't think I've driven here yet. So you'll see that I need to use the sequential shifter. So let's just go with starting straight away. And again, I'll just zoom in something like, so I'm using the flappy paddles on my gear shifter. I could turn the wheel, I can flip the accelerator, but the gears do not work at all. So I need to go to my gear. You can see me depressing the clutch down in the bottom right hand corner. You can see the accelerator, you can see the brake pedal. So I have to put it into first. If I take my foot off, we've got like auto stall. So I've got my foot on the brake, take my foot off. Unless I put it into neutral, it won't start the engine again, which is normal. So going into first. See, it doesn't rev match. Whoa. That's all over the place. Quickly caught me out. And again. Like I was saying, it's very rear biased on the brake pedal. Been a long time since I've driven a manual. So we're going to have to do some heel and towing. Long time since I've done that as well. You can tell I'm focusing a lot, can't you? Completely silent. And that's what happens if you go into first gear from fifth. And across the line. But I would love, just at this point even, just to be able to press the X button, escape button, come to the menu and be like, you know what, I need to use the auto blip. Control settings, assists, where are the assists? No. Assists, where are they? Settings, no. Properties, no. Oh, you can't get to assists. Why not? Why can't you get to assists from this menu? It's in the settings. That's what they should be in here. Definitely should have settings in there. And I think when you change the video settings at this point without reloading the game, it doesn't really take effect. I think before, when I was doing it and you were changing midway through, I'd come back to the game and I'm getting like 30 frames per second, whereas before I was getting like 50, so it's really weird. So I definitely reckon if you make any changes during the video section, graphics section, just reload the game altogether. So I want to, in fact that was with auto throttle blip on. So auto throttle blip doesn't actually work when you're using a clutch pedal. And I do much prefer to drive, alright, you're not going to be able to drive these older cars, but I think you should be able to drive these older cars with the paddles. If you haven't got a sequential gearbox, what do? Can you not drive them cars? Or maybe you have to drive them in automatic, which is a bit poor really, isn't it? You should be able to drive any car with the flappy paddles, even if it's an old school car, I think. Another car that I really did enjoy driving was the BMWs. Not particularly enjoyed driving any of the Ferraris at this stage. Again, cars like these, I personally don't think they should be in the game. I just don't feel like I ever want to drive anything at the moment that's not a GT car, because they just feel slow, unresponsive, lacking grip. So I've just been really focusing on cars that want to be driven. I think I was setting a 127 at Brands Hatch in the Porsche, which is probably about 4 seconds or 3 seconds at least away from ACC lap times. I've not driven the Porsche around Bathurst just yet. I did actually drive the VW Golf. That didn't feel too bad. The Cosworth just feels utterly slow. As much as you want to drive it, it just feels really slow. The Honda felt much better than the Mazda. Just felt not really driven any of the Lotuses. They're just gonna feel slow, to be honest. And I think the cars are gonna suit the open world kind of area. I think as soon as you get to a track, you want to be driving a race car, really. So whether proper race cars come, like the F style cars or LMPs and stuff like that, I just think driving real world cars on race circuits is kind of boring, unless it's what everybody's driving. But I just want to be attacking a circuit and going flat out, and when you can't go flat out due to grip issues, It just doesn't feel like racing for me. But yeah, I've enjoyed playing the game so far. Obviously on a better system, I've no doubt it's even better. But when you've got compromises to make because of the system that you're running, definitely areas to look in the settings menu. Not in there. In the video section is messing around with this slider. I think just mess with the slider. I'd suggest if you're running a low end system like myself, look at changing back to 1080p rather than 1440p. And yeah, hopefully you can get some enjoyment out of the game. I'll quickly just show you. Let's go into a single player and just show you the kind of frames per second I'm getting when we go into an actual race. So if we just race in the BMW, come all the way back out. So I'll quickly zoom in because it never remembers where you're setting up. So down to 40 frames per second already. And in this car you can get rid of that traction control because it makes you so slow. Not really felt any benefits from being in someone's slipstream either. And you'll notice when we do change position from 6th past some of these cars, just how slow it is before it's recognised. So long since passed now. So it's only just changed us to 3rd. I think it could be quicker than that. It should be literally instant as soon as you've gone past someone, really. Whoa, going round the outside. .45 frames per second. .33. So say we went past him literally over the line really, so a good 10 seconds past him. We've still not registered that we've passed yet. So 45 seconds since we've passed him and we're still in 2nd place. Oh, there we go. Nearly 55 seconds to register that I've passed someone. Should be better than that. Just keep looking at the latency. Be nice to see a map actually as well. Just to have an on-screen HUD to be able to see the map would be a great adage. So that's my first race win. And then you can either go all the way around and place yourself in your box, or you can press the menu end button, I think. And then you can watch the replay. Finished first, well done. And that's just going to stay there, is it? Or you can watch the replay. At least we can see the track detail as well, green. I didn't actually notice that. I can't actually see some of it because of my recording feature in the top right. So it's a bit annoying that it's giving you the leaderboard from the finishing positions. See the BMW just bouncing around 40, 60 frames. It just jumps around us so much. A few little audio glitches here and there as well. Keep hearing. Nice little overtake, I think, through here. So you see you get all over the side there. There's literally there isn't a scratch on the side of the car, as you can see. So hopefully we see some damage at some point. But yeah, that was just a little, you can see down the bottom there again, 30, 60. It just jumps around so much. So yeah, there's nothing to gain from winning. No trophy ceremony at the moment. So yeah, if we just go into the garage from here, look. Yeah, so I don't like how it's just off to one side. You can never get it central. So you really need to choose sort of where you're going to be, and then it actually puts the car centrally. So you can have the car looking in, go through the day-night cycle. But yeah, I think that's it. I think that's as much as I can show you, I think. If you've got any questions about the game, or if you've got anything you want to add, please do leave a comment in the comment section. And as always, till next time, ciao for now.